Okay, everyone, thanks for coming out again, which I say all the time now, so no one can accuse me of Democratic or liberal bias. We're going to pick on poor Barack Hussein Obama. Now, this fits into our debate and theme of Africa and alliances. As we know, the Niger Coup just happened recently. And the idea of the United States is, well, we don't support undemocratic regimes. That's who we are. We support democracy. Other countries do not. As we know right now, particularly with a new Cold War with Russia and other countries from Iran, etc., we don't really support democracy. I mean, coming from a U.S. perspective, most countries don't. What most countries want are client states, right? So whether Niger was democratic or not democratic really isn't important to the United States. What's important to the United States, does it have an ally? Is it losing an ally? Is it closing down our drone bases there? And are we going to lose a foothold in Africa, which we have been doing, I think, in the past? So this is a real race in national security studies for more alliances, not democracy. We just use democracy as a pretext like other countries. So this is an anti-US. I think all countries do this. So what do I have behind me? I have Barack Hussein Obama and his beautiful wife, Michelle, as people say, with the most brutal dictator in Africa currently holding office, and that is Teodoro Obiang of Equatorial Guinea. I have mentioned him quite a bit. He's been in power since 1979, before many of us were born. And he's still in power. So why do we love him so much? He's a brutal dictator. He steals all the oil money. It's an archipelago state. It's basically, right, on the western side of Africa. It's an archipelago state because the capital was part of the island. But like these dictators do, he moved around the capital. Now it's somewhere else in the country. It's the only Spanish-speaking country in Africa because it was colonized by, obviously, Spain. So why are we loving this guy? We love this guy because he gives us cheap oil. The royalties are less than in a lot of other countries. That is what we have to pay him. And his family steal all the money. His son is in a really interesting YouTube and also Australian 60 Minutes video that shows him just in Paris, living it up. Teodoro Obiang has all these, that's his wife with Michelle Obama, has these houses, etc. Do we really care about, and I believe there's only about 500,000 people there, do we care about these people? Absolutely not. So the idea that, we're against the Niger coup because of democracy is absolutely ludicrous. I mean, we support many brutal governments, Somoza of Nicaragua, Rios Montt, who committed genocide against the indigenous people in Guatemala, death squads in El Salvador, the illegal Contra War in Nicaragua, General Doe of Liberia. Even a lot of people don't know this, Charles Taylor was in a Plymouth jail. He was, and this is post-Cold War, he was actually let out by the FBI and CIA, Plymouth, Massachusetts. He was in a prison. He actually studied in Massachusetts. And they put him on a plane to go to Africa to overthrow a guy named General Doe of Liberia. And another guy ended up taking power first. If you go to YouTube, you could actually show the guy cut off General Doe's ear. I don't recommend it. Who was a leader of Africa, General Doe, that is, for the longest time, leader of Liberia. And he was losing power, so we needed someone we liked. So we sent Charles Taylor over there, and Charles Taylor finally took power. And now he's in the ICC, International Criminal Court, which is so interesting since we're the one that put him there. Shouldn't we stand trial? No, absolutely not. The point is, we love dictators, particularly in Africa. And having Barack Hussein Obama here to show I'm not biased. I like to show a lot of Republicans with dictators. Here we are with Barack Hussein Obama, with the brutal dictator of Africa, Teodoro Obiang, and Teodoro Obiang's wife. So what does this all mean? Well, when we do national security studies, remember it's kind of propagandistic. People say, this is about democracy. It's kind of like Putin, who says, we need to go in the Ukraine because to denazify. These arguments are based on pretext. It's based on, little truth. I mean, all these people criticize Cunin, but there's a lot of Cunin in international politics and national security. So think about this when we're in the scramble for Africa, this new fight for alliances that the United States of America historically it does not, just like other countries. I'm not picking on the United States. Really is just looking for clients. I mean, even Vietnam, who's tough as tax, when they beat us and kicked us out, no offense to the United States, they went into Cambodia, kicked Pol Pot out, the brutal dictator, and put in a Vietnamese client Cambodian government. And we actually supported Pol Pot, which a lot of people don't know, even though he was a genocidal maniac because he was against Vietnam. So you start seeing what international politics is and are with this alliance-based system. And do we, the question I'll end this with, just continue supporting any brutal dictator just because we like them? Remember, we loved Saddam Hussein when he was fighting Iran, or will this come back later and haunt us? So take care, everybody, and I appreciate you listening to my lectures.